Hello, I'm John Stephens and I'm the lead developer of Tyrantagonist Games, which is totally a real company. I'm making a game, or at least I'm trying to anyway. It's going to be called Pluck Hearts, and you can see it from now on the screen. This is a developer diary. It's the fourth entry, and the idea is that every time I upload, I'm going to explain what I've been working on, what I've been struggling with, and the potential solutions I have in mind. I just thought it'd be nice. People might be interested in that sort of thing. This is actually the fourth video, though, because the first three videos were recaps of the previous versions of the games. So I'm working on version 0.4, and there have been three major versions before that. But just in case you didn't watch those videos, what I thought I'd do first is actually explain what the game actually is. It's a puzzle platformer. You can see me platforming right here on these platforms. The puzzle is that there's a bunch of objects in the world, which I can look at right here, and they have properties, which I call hearts. So this one here has a clay heart in it, which means that I can stand on this platform. That over there does not, so if I try and stand on it, I fall straight through. So with this ball, I have the ability to take it, or pluck it, and put it, push it, drive it into a different object, like so, giving it the property and letting me access an area I was unable to before. There you go, that's an example of a very simple puzzle. So, I hope that makes sense. Now, you have to imagine that these objects, there could be a whole bunch of different objects, right? This could move in all sorts of different ways. It could be a plant, it could be a car, I don't know. And there could be different hearts. So, for example, maybe instead of making this solid, it makes it bouncy. Jump on top of it, bounces you up. Which means subtly different puzzles can be made, right? So, that's the concept. Now, this is where normally I would move on to showing off some of the features that I was struggling on. But I've actually done a lot of work already, so I thought I'd show off, maybe. So, for version 0.4, there were two things I really wanted to work on. One is, I just wanted more stuff, right? I wanted to make more clouds and objects and stuff, and I wanted there to be more hearts. I'll tell you what, I can actually just show you some levels. So, you see this heart here. Let me just get to a heart. Now, these levels don't necessarily work because they're from the old version of the game. And what happens is you program a bunch of new stuff, then you check out the old levels, and they don't work anymore. So, here's an example of a different shaped heart. And it can move left and right, you see. So now it gives me access to this area over here. Like so. And this was in the old version of the game. And there used to be a push block, but it didn't work and I didn't like it. So if I load... First off, I load bounce. And I run down. This is an example of... Oh, you see, that's broken, you see. The reason why it's making that noise, by the way, is because I'm actually carrying, you can see it actually, I'm carrying two of these things at the same time, and the level needs to be fixed. You can, if you look carefully, sometimes let's get my cursor out. This, you can't see it because it's full screen. Basically, I'm carrying two of this object at the same time, and it's scanning 1,000,000 times a second. But yeah, this cloud is pink. Still doesn't have a heart in it, so if I make it solid by just taking this, it's now bouncy, like I explained before. So that's a different type of heart. If we take this heart here, so this is bouncy and solid, which means this non-pink cloud can be turned pink, like so. Those are different examples of clouds and some examples of hearts. So there's another candy heart, as I call it. You can also see... Oh no, this briefly didn't work. So yes, let's go back to that level there. So yes, so that was one thing I wanted to work on. I wanted more stuff. I want to make more levels. I've actually designed a bunch of levels. They just don't have any code in yet. And that's sort of a gift for me, because I can make a more interesting game. It's fun. It's fun to make new toys. But the second and arguably more important thing is I wanted to improve on the tutorialization. Now, in this particular version here, it has these large pictures that I shoved on the screen that explained concepts. And the idea I had in mind when I made this was, like, it's just, you're forced to read it. Like, you couldn't possibly leave this screen without knowing. And what I found out is there's a lot of made up words in there, like null space and, well, I know, null heart, clay heart, burden, intent. Like, it's kind of dense, and a lot of people just immediately close it without actually reading what it says. And then they walk away confused. So here's another example. If I walk up here, there we go. Like, it's just a lot. It's a lot. But that's not the only way a game tutorializes. If you think about how a game is structured and how a game is presented, that's also tutorialization. So you may have noticed there's a HUD. They weren't in the previous versions of the game. So if I were to scan this, so now you can see it's a cloud block. I think I called it a different name. Cloud block was a sort of simpler version. I was trying to not overcomplicate things, so cloud block made sense to me. So now everything's got a name. You can sort of see in the top right hand corner. It's also got a symbol, that smiley face, and that just means it's a type of object that can have a heart in. Like, hopefully people don't need to be told that, because it's just sort of a passive information. The other thing, as you can see, it says empty heart, and that says clay heart. If I remove it, it now says I'm holding a clay heart up there, and it says that that's null, because it's empty. So this information was already on the screen passively in the form of that heart that's there and the scanner that's on the screen, but it wasn't obvious. So I've doubled down. Now everyone can see the information better, hopefully. It also tells you that you're grounded. Just because so many people got annoyed with, like, not understanding why they're on the ground. Now, when you draw the heart, it will tell you. There's a symbol. It says grounded. There's a thing on the ground, and also you do have a tiny jump, which I'm not super keen on, because you can still do jumps, and it just means I have to design around that. But, like, people like having a little jump rather than having no jump, so I gave them a little jump. If you scan this, you see that's got a different symbol. So the monoliths aren't explained on a big screen. There's just a symbol, and hopefully people get that the naming convention is different. But yes. But that's not all I've done for structure. If I load up, what do I have to load now? Let me have a think. Okay. If I go back, these menus haven't been finished. The menus are more for me than for the player. Let's do game restart. Actually, I am going to close down this game. So this is what the level looks like when it's in the program in the Game Maker Studio. So these are the solid edges that you're not supposed to see as a player. So I'm actually going to turn them off so the level looks nicer. This is collision V and collision H. If I start the level now, I'll show you what the new tutorial looks like. There's a new tutorial level, which is something which was in version 2 that I took out in favour of just having a simple level. But the reason now I can go back to having a tutorial level is that I'm having a hub world. That is to say that all the levels are going to be findable on a screen. Let's skip this. Oh yes, we have a new title as well, Pluck Hearts. That logo isn't finished, but it's the concept. Let's press new game. So this is the new tutorial. The very patronising arrow pointing to Henry. I might hide that one arrow, but the arrows are supposed to be a consistent theme. I should move myself to the other side. Nope, not that. How do I select me? There we go. I'll put me there. Right. So now it stays on the screen, and you're able to move around. So you can read all the information while testing out, oh yeah, the A button does jump and the left button does move them around. And I can keep it on the screen. It either dismisses if I press X, or it will go away by itself once I get to a certain place. So here's a second example. There's the heart scanner. Now the arrow's pointing at a thing that makes a bit more sense. But you do have to pick it up for the context makes sense. And suddenly the HUD comes up. Ignore that HUD. It's a thing. It just isn't ready yet. But you can sort of see, if I move away, the tutorial doesn't turn off if I walk this way, because I didn't consider people would. It tells you to use the right analog stick to scan. You can, and aim it at an inhabitant to see what kind of heart it holds. That is kind of flavoury, but it's not a lot of stuff. It's just telling you to point it at things. But there is currently a lot of stuff on the screen that I'm a bit worried about. If I dismiss that using this button. So, if you're eagle-eyed, and if you watch the other videos, you may have noticed that this thing looks different than it used to. It's the save point. If you walk into it, it'll do that. There's now a little animation. The reason I changed the design is because I wanted it to have a heart, because I wanted people to instinctively point this at things with hearts. So you'll notice that it's got a name, it's got that symbol for the monolith, and it's active. And if I pressed it before, it wouldn't have been active. You may also notice that this thing is white. It used to be red, because red is the colour of blood, but white is the colour of neutral. So if you look at this, you'll notice that it's a sort of bluish colour, and that means that nothing can be plucked from it. It's just scanning, it's not a pluckable thing, right? That's what that grey means. We select the first level again. Turn off this tutorial. So you'll notice that's a sort of flashing red. So one of the things I did is I've now made it so the reticle floats in and out a little bit and it flashes. I just wanted people to be like, look here, you're looking at this thing. Just more movement, just to make the game a little bit more exciting to look at and a bit more easier to read. So this is a duller red because you're currently empty. It's empty, you can't grab it. This is a vibrant red because you can grab it. And you can still grab it, see? Because now that's empty and you're full, it's still accessible. And that one still is also accessible. Okay, I need to show you a different example, don't I? Sunroof will do. So, if I grab this, can't put it, you can put it in these empties, and you see the vibrant red, but you can't put it in this dull red one, because there's something already in there. I'm trying to just passively tell people that's not a thing, and what I'll need to do is I'll need to go, no, I need to have a button that just sort of says, you tried, and that's a no for me. Sound design is difficult, so is drawing. I had to learn how to draw all this stuff. And I still have to figure out exactly what sounds I want. So, like this noise here gets old, and I need to come up with more variations, and I need to have it to be slightly less intrusive. But so, if I want a no noise, it has to be the least intrusive no noise. Like a no, I don't think you can. No. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, my tutorials. So so that's one of the things I've done. The other is, there's a HUD. So if we very quickly finish this level, you can see the feature that I've taken the most time to make. Now, I could have just told the game to load up into the correct level. It's not currently on the list of levels I can load. Because the level I'm going to take you to isn't a level that you're supposed to see. It's my sort of test area. My learned... So this is where I put all the junk that I'm testing. There you go, look. Very exciting. Yeah, this looks like an awful mess, but it's where I'm testing all the objects. All very exciting. Look at that there. So if I stand on this... Well, I should have set up a place. Put that back. So, ignore all that. These are levels. So you can scan them, and this is why oh, this is a very exciting thing as well. The idea is, you can, what they say the name. See that's level 1. That's level 2. So if we go back into level 1 again, it doesn't work for some reason. Oh, That's interesting. Wonder why that is. Maybe it's because it's already complete. You can see that's what a gum heart looks like. You see, I still can't jump through it, but it's pink. Let's try level 2. Want something I can very quickly solve. Oh, well, currently that feature doesn't work. That's a shame. I'll have to investigate why it does that. Which is something I could do during this recording, but it's fine. We don't need to. So, yes, that is the more tutorialization. But, okay, let's talk about what I'm actually working on. Which is going to require me to grab this. Oh. That's interesting. So when you complete levels, it closes the door. Now, this is going to be subtly adjusted, but you can now no longer access that door. You see it's gone grey. Whereas this one, the scanner goes crazy because I wanted it to go, oh, look, it's a level. That's exciting. That's not quite finished. I haven't figured out the design for this yet. So, hopefully, you should be able to see, very exciting, a lift. It goes up and down. And hopefully, yeah. So what used to happen is once you got to the top, it would go down and you'd fall for a split second. And I didn't like that. You should have been glued. But yes, I can jump. I can fall through. Here's an exciting diagonal one. It feels like so little, but like this here, this diagonal one, this like took a week. That took several days to figure out, and also it broke because of what I did. And I can take it out, and it will just go on forever. There you go, and bounce off the wall, and I can put it back if I want. I'm gonna have to restart this level though. In fact, I'm gonna quit the game and find the level. It's called Tutorial Test. No, it's not. It's Bifrost, because they used. I was going to build a level there, so you may be able to see the snail here. Let's move this guy. Not the snail. You can. I'll show you snail in a second. Here's the 2 most exciting things. The 3 most exciting things I've done, I think. Move this up so it actually loads it first, and hopefully this works. You might be able to see it there. It's a crab. It's supposed to be a hermit crab. I'm not amazing at drawing. I've been forced to learn a bit because I bought assets. And I found all the free ones that are available. You get humble bumbles that have them in. And in the end, you're just like, it's not what I want. I just have to draw what I want. Damn it. Let's move the cursor off the screen. Let's press new game. So, hopefully, there we go. You can now ride this crab down. So, now I can't scan that crab. And it goes through there. We can restart the level. So, yes. So you can see it's not finished. But I can put it back. So, yes, I can change what the player can fall through and what the crab can. But yes, that took a lot of effort. So, obviously, the bit where it goes left and right, that makes sense, right? The issue is we don't need to ride it. Actually, yeah, we do. The issue is it's going a weird diagonal. So we have to restart and like so. So I needed him to just to stay on, right? He does do a little bit of a shake. One of the things, if you watch the shell is delayed just by a step. So if you look at the legs, because I drew the legs separately, there's a little gap. And that is how I solved a weird issue. Which is when, for the split second, as soon as he starts falling, my player doesn't know that he's going to fall until the frame afterwards. And then then he's not connected. He's not glued to it. And so what I had to do is I had to say, you fall, crab, but the shell falls the one step afterwards when the player knows. And I thought, well, it kind of looks okay because it kind of looks like it's lagging behind like it should. And I was reasonably happy with that idea. This here. Oh. It's an invisible floor for one. Can I? Yes. Let's... We'll play in a place. Hang on, you can go down there. Put you there. This is the new shell with the new shell design. I think it was a cloud before. It's a heavy cloud, a fat cloud. But the idea for this one is in the same way that the clouds that go left and right and the clouds that go up and down are the same cloud but with different behaviors. The shell is going to have different variations to it. So, instead of you being able to hold it and pull back and forth, you now have a shove button. And that means, you can see I'm frozen. It means that I cannot accidentally stand in the way. I'm curious to see what happens if there's a creature there. Hopefully it should stop you from pushing it. But if I push it off a ledge, it will fall. It will do that sort of... I don't have to worry about it tipping because it pushes at an exact height. It should fall through, right? Yes, it does, yeah. And that one, relatively easy. Obviously, there's now an issue that you can jam it in walls. But that could be a feature. The other thing is I can make walls... I can make it so that can't go through a wall, but you can. Using this glamour, as I call it. This is what this tests out, by the way. All these objects have different bump properties, and I just needed to test them all out. Right, this snail. Is it this? I think it's this. Is that called? That's called OBJ wall. Apparently. I'm going to glue this back down. Like so. We're also going to make it that the player can do that as well. So yeah, you're not supposed to be able to see this wall. This is where the real actual physical wall exists. And what you see, the cloud, which isn't on this level. Oh yeah, there's a bit of cloud there. Is what you see. Because I might not be in a cloud world. I might be in a dirt world. I might be in an acorn world. I might be in a pillowcase world. Like you could be anywhere, but the rules of the game are laden underneath. I don't know why I use the word laden. Let's make vertical as well. Yeah, I think it's fine, but it needs to be there as well. Yeah, hopefully that works. This is a snail. Let's move you down to where the snail is. Is the snail finished? I hope the snail is finished. Well, there are still issues with them. Because of the silly rule set I've got, I need to grab those two things with me. He should just generate them. So I haven't even explained what the issue yet, which is the whole point of the developer diary. But I thought I'd use this example to explain some of the things I've made as well. Indulge me. But you can see all the effort has been making these new platforms so I can make new puzzles with these new creatures. And you've actually already seen what the issue is. But yeah, after I show off the snail, I'll explain it again. This is the snail. The snail will slither around walls. I've just noticed that gap I didn't want there, and you can stand on it, hopefully. And there you go. And it broke. Why did it break? probably because that's there. We'll unglue that and we'll put that there because it doesn't look right. So I can make the snail go clockwise and anti-clockwise, the same with this guy. Be pretty terrible code if that didn't work like that. And the snail is something I planned so long ago. And I just needed to sort of a lot more confidence to actually program the snail. It's a version of the snail existed way before version 2. You couldn't stand on it. You could stand on it while it was on the ground, but not while it was doing the other things. I had to sort of think of how visually does it work, how realistic is this world. I had to argue with myself, not that realistic, don't worry about the physics of the snail. So you'll notice the shell stays the same way up, because you're supposed to ride the snail. So I'm going to let the snail pass through me, which you should be able to do. And now, the snail will keep turning around, like so. And once it reaches an end, he will walk around. The thing that sort of stopped the code is I originally wanted it to be able to curve around the outside, and I was like, no, it's more interesting to have the game not work in certain ways. So, back over there. And so what happens if I ride it? Several things, actually, because I put a lot of effort into this. So I shall ride the snail. Hopefully it'll go up this time. But it won't crush me. It shouldn't bop me off like that. But you see, because there wasn't room, it turned around. But yes, that's an error. If I let him off. Obviously I can't stand, like, I had to figure out what does he do in those roof situations. Like, well, technically, there could be a roof that the snail could stand on that you couldn't. So I needed that. So it still works like that. And yes, I can. So he works as a lift. I'm very proud of the snail. The animation is a bit silly, but and for some reason you can't scan it. I don't know why. But to be honest, should be a reasonably easy thing to fix. He shouldn't be dropping you off, and I'm not entirely sure how to fix that. So that is a thing I need to work on. It's just not my priority right now. I literally got to this point in the snail, and then went, you know what, I've done a lot of work. Let's finally get around to doing the tutorial. That wind machine there, obviously, has nothing to do with any of this, but it is something I made. But yeah, very happy with that. Not quite done yet. But, okay, so what is the issue? Why have I actually started a developer diary? Well, if we select tic-tac-toe, see that? I've broken the ledges. So all of the new elevators and stuff meant I had to rewrite the entire code of how the game scans the ledges. So there's a bit of code that basically says, are you approaching an object that you can stand on? Define that object and tell me the properties of why that code works. So if we look at that level, if we look at tic-tac-toe, which is in the level list, in the rooms, so I do name them, tic-tac-toe. So if we look here, this is actually what they look like. They are OBJ shelf. We look at the object for OBJ shelf. It is actually a nimbus. So the cloud that goes left and right. I figured out, like, why do I need to make a shelf? That's what I call them, because you can stand on a shelf and you can step in front of it. When I can just repurpose a moving creature and make it stand still, and it would work the same. So it's actually backwards of how it was originally derived, but it stopped working. So you can see here, if it's white, it means I've created new rules. So it's got the parent, because it just means, like, if we click on this parent, you can edit the parent, and you can see it's got a bunch of children. Like, it's actually a mount, and the game scans for mounts or ledges. So it's all contained within here. So you don't write a code for each single one. You just tell the game to look for ledges, and then if I need to subdivide that, it can afterwards, because otherwise you'd just be repeating code. Sort of, what are we looking at? So this would be interesting to have these up at the same time. Let's close that. So this gets into the nitty gritty now. And I'm probably won't be doing too many actual programming on the screen, because I'm not an amazing programmer. I'm still learning. We do want this up. What was I looking at? I was looking at the ledge. Where's it gone? It'd be way down there. You know what? It's on the wrong screen, isn't it? So if I look at edge, where are you? Shelf. Right. So if we look at shelf first, we can compare the codes. It can be useful. Out of the way. So, like we can see, it should have all the same tile map. Well, it's never gonna. What the tile maps do is, as you can see, it's all collision. Anything can bump into. Shelves aren't ever going to move, so I don't have to worry about that. These states probably should exist. So this is the scanning information. This shouldn't scan, because it's not an object. It doesn't have a face. So things like that. So like, I don't really have to worry about this. But mount equals no one, that is potentially what's breaking it. Yes, that's interesting. So, we might be able to fix it right now. However, there is a secondary broken problem. So, we'll remember there's a code that says mount equals no one, and there's a code here that says mount.nimbus. If we go into the player, which is an object that basically should be open at all times, there's a lot of code in there, as well as this. This, not engine 4, what's engine 4? That's a bit of animation. So this is the engine, and there's so much code in this. This is what's doing the heavy lifting, and the player as well. So we'll open up the player. And I can take these headphones off. There's probably no sound going on. There's a lot of player. It's going to be OBJ player. That's just a naming convention. You don't have to call it OBJ, but like if you want to remember what everything is, use naming conventions. There we go. We'll open him up. Right. We'll search for mount. There we go. So there's a bit of code here. This is all new code I had to make to get all of the different weird mounts to work. I had to delete. You might even be able to see the deleted code somewhere, because these two lines basically you use them for notes. So you go, this is a note I made. You know, the two lines means it doesn't read as code. But if you want to like test out new code, you block out the old code, and I like to keep the old code there just in case I need it, or to remind me of what I was thinking. Anyway, so this collision circle basically means that around the mount, so the player has a circle at all times detecting whether OBJ mount exists at 105 pixels around the center. Don't worry what that means. And so it's going to detect it. It's going to detect whether it's bouncy or solid, because you want to bounce on bouncy stuff and you don't want to bounce on solid stuff. There's a bunch of things. So it has to detect the speed and how the mounts are moving. And here's the important bit. So it is detecting what type of mount it is. What I should do is I should add a little bit of code. I should say if detect.mount equals mount.shelf. Now there's no code for shelf right now. Mount equals mount.shelf. Right? Okay, you can see I've put a note there already. So here's a bunch of rules that say, hey, you're no longer on a mount, or you've fallen through the mount, so don't be mounted anymore. You shouldn't be mounted while you're standing, because you can fall through the mounts, some of them. You shouldn't be mounted when you fall through. So the code would, you'd try and step down, and the code would immediately put you back to the top. So there's a bunch of code that says, don't do that, so mount top and man feet. You can see dump them. And this is what's causing the error. Because I rebuilt the entire system, it's just telling you immediately, oh, there's no mount there. He shouldn't be mounted. So, these are the mounts. So it's asking, if it's the diagonal, do this. Follow the rules of it. If it's the up-down, do this, follow the rules, so on and so forth. And I should be able to just add, there's an L. You see, this is what's screwing me over. It's saying, if the mount is none of these, you're not on a thing, right? None of these are true. So I'm going to add, I wasn't expecting to actually solve a problem. But the thing is, one of the reasons I'm making these videos is it does sort of force me to not be lazy and look through the code. So it's mount.shelf. We're not going to actually put anything in there yet. That's just shelved. Although we could just say, as a sort of test, hang on, let's say mount up and down equals. Let's just put that in as a test. In fact, I don't think there needs to be any code in here. I think. Let's see, what does it do for mount left, right, diagonal, up, down, shell? What's a shell? Left, right equals true. Okay, well, it doesn't need left, right. Let's just copy that bit of code in. We'll test something out. So bear in mind, it's giving me an error because there's no such thing as mount.shelf yet. I've not made that bit of code in the mount. So if we load the game up, the game open. So I tried another idea before I did this, a lazier idea, which is, what if I just make a new mount? This here, this is the old mount, this is the old shelf, and whenever I made a shelf, I just put a bunch of these in, and this was a new one. So we'll see what happens if I just make a cloud. I know it doesn't exist. Right, we'll comment this. He won't let me load the level yet. In fact, I will comment this as well. It just won't let me. So don't worry. So yes, my previous idea was, instead of having all the we're gonna have to put shelf down, aren't we? Find OBJ shelf. So yeah, OBJ shelf is this, right? So this is what the shelf used to look like in the editor, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make a new object called obj ledge new, and I realized, oh, I can just stretch it out. That works fine. So I would delete that. I'd place it on there. It'd be invisible, so you wouldn't be able to see it in code, and it just acts exactly the same as that, but it's still. And the idea was, the code would just detect it as one of those and treat it like one of those that just happen not to be moving. And I thought, surely that would work. Now it's still, well, it doesn't, because I'll show you why. But there's going to be errors with both of them. They might even have the same error, but this is the thing I've just got to figure out. Load up the game. So this is what I'm working on. This is my main issue. And I'll be honest, I didn't think it would take 40 minutes for me to explain, but the dev diary, quite a lot of it was me showing off stuff, to be honest. And I have no idea if people are interested. I really enjoy dev diaries, but normally, obviously, they're normally off competent people. We're going to have to press new game. We do have sound now. I've turned the music off in the code, so you might be able to hear a bloop. And that is the music starting and then me shutting it off, because there's only so many times that you can listen to the same damn music before you start hating it. I turned it off for my dev copy. Let's press new game. Yes, I completely forgot that I changed the game structure, didn't I? Where's my rooms? So, tutorial test should be first. These triangles here, they increase the gravity so I can smoothly walk down ramps, because the code that Sean, he's a YouTuber who's good at programming and teaches people, but it just didn't work. I couldn't get it to work. I copied it exactly. I was very careful, and it just, because your horizontal speed is faster than the downward speed, you end up doing a weird skipping thing. So I just turned the gravity up on those things, and there's a bunch of code that makes sure that, like, whatever button, any reason you're not on there, the gravity returns to normal, and it makes sure that is the case. So, for instance, right at the edge of here, now do worry that that's faster. Like that, it'll be the same speed as that. Because what would happen, obviously, is you just slam into the ground at 1,000,000 miles per hour because your gravity was really high. So let's dismiss those. So this is the new ledge, and you see it works. It seems to work fine. This is the old ledge. You can see there's a weird gravity property there. Let's restart this level. So you can see that seems to work, and this one definitely doesn't. Right? You fall through it, but sometimes you don't fall through it. And yes. You think, oh, is this fixed? Did you fix it? Did you fix it before you even start the video? No. Because, let's close that down. As soon as that approaches, that collision circle is detecting that instead and go, oh, you're not on a mount, are you? Right, so time has passed. I was going to add this addendum here on the end of the episode. I thought it could have needed a happy ending. So I've decided to make two versions of the videos. The original version was 5 hours long. 5 hours of me struggling to code something relatively simple. And the other version is an abridged version. So presumably you watch one of those versions, and I'm adding this on the end of both versions, which is why I'm randomly putting this explanation here. Let me show you the end result. So it's the same day. So again, I recorded 5 hours of coding. I actually had some food, did some exercise. That was about an hour, and then I spent like 4 more hours casually coding, as I actually my normal pace. I don't normally code for 5 hours. I'm not actually sure that's true, because what happens is I just forget the time. Anyway, you deserve a happy ending. I mean, boom. Oh yeah, the sound's not plugged in. It doesn't matter. Sound's basically off. So doesn't knock me off. Knock me off? No, of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't knock me off. I told you you're getting a happy ending. In this happy ending, I can just casually walk across this bridge, as was intended. There you go. I mean, it works absurdly well. So yeah, I fell through then, but ooh, there you go. That was a bit weird. Not perfect, is it? But a lot better than it was. I can. What happened there? What happened when it didn't work? Or did it work and I'm just silly? I mean, if you miss the jump, you miss the jump. Anyway, you can. That's a bit odd. That doesn't feel good. So that's a separate issue. Me trying to press down. Ah, you know what? That's fine. So what happens is, this is something I actually needed to fix. There's a couple of errors going on. One, when you press down, speeds your downwards momentum up slightly, just to get you under the lip. And I needed that to only last a split second. So if you hold it down, it actually goes down really fast. The second thing, obviously, is he touches the wall. It's that thing there. That's the real issue. Like, this is a sort of a bug that I can live with, and I will fix eventually. It's on the list. Whatever the hell happens there, that's the bad thing. Anyway, there's also warping to the top like that. There's still weirdness going on. Oops, me right there. So one of the things I'm going to do as a fix is first let me show you a different thing. So now this works again. There you go. So I'm holding down. But there is a little bit of weirdness around falling down next to walls. And I think I know how to fix that. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. But it's something I should have done ages ago. Down that. So there's two things potentially going wrong. It's just sort of fighting the urge. So if I turn on these things here, that is my collision code, right? And what I don't like specifically is this overlapping. So I decided these are originally blocked from all directions, and I decided it was easy enough to only block from two. So I can do two things. I can make it so only blocks from one direction. That sounds like something I should have definitely done by now. And the other thing is I can make them a quarter of the size. Because of the way the code works, I'll still be gluing. Like, I still have to use this size blocks, because if I make blocks half the size, he'll be able to fall through them. But, like, because if I have two next to each other, that's fine, I think. It's easy enough to test, to be honest. But it means redrawing all this for all the levels. It shouldn't take me too long. So that's the quick fix, and the harder fix is to turn these two directions, what I call vertical and horizontal. The other problem is vertical. Well, actually, now that I think about it, vertical is already a special shape, because vertical has all these bumps. Vertical works perfectly, but I can have that's vertical downwards. It does work upwards. I don't even know how upwards works now that I think about it. But yeah, I blocked that out for you. You're never going to be able to get in there, so let's not tempt fate. Right, what else? I'm letting you go, but I may as well explain what I'm going to try and do next. I'm not going to record all the things I code. That's insane. And I got the answer done when I wasn't on camera, because coding on camera is hard. Because everyone can see how bad at coding I am, for a start. And oh yeah, I haven't even told you how I solved it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do next, and then I'll tell you how I solved it. Obviously, the answer was a really simple thing. It always is. And I knew it would be. So I've got this big list. I have a lot of these, by the way. The green screens. No, they're not. What am I talking about? Oh, it goes weird in the green screen. They're whiteboards. And I have about 4 over there, filled to the brim with writing and photographs of the ones that I'm not currently using. I wiped off this one here, which said fix ledges. I'm going to do all the rest of these, but all the rest of these are going to be easy. They're going to be time consuming, but none of them are me being stuck on a problem. I might get stuck on one of these, but they're all tutorial stuff. So things like, I still don't like how busy the screen looks though, but okay. So specifically, I'm going to add, if you can see where it says "ooh" on the witness and dormant, I was going to add a third line to that. And that line was just going to be flavor text. Sometimes it was going to have hints about the game, because I don't want to draw a tutorial for every single tiny little thing. So occasionally I want to be able to scan this, and underneath it, so where's my mouse? My mouse doesn't work. Okay, well, I'll point it like there. It'll look like, it'll be as long as that. Right, so you'll have a little magnifying glass. I've already drawn it, actually, I can show you. And there'll be a line as long as that first line. And when I scan that, it will say, this is a save point. And it can be level dependent. And if I scan this, it will say that you can jump up through it. And you can click down. Things like that. The writing will have to be smaller. Yes. The only issue is potentially I just need more space. So I will have to move the tutorials down a bit because I don't want it overlapping. That can be down a bit. It can be like just like that, slightly there. Maybe it can be 2 lines. Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard just to have a second line. Well, the problem, I don't know how much space I want it constantly filling up. Oh yeah, no, what am I talking about? There's going to be a button so it goes in and out. This two can stay forever, but the third one will go in and out. Yeah. Might even have a thing like that. That makes something like that. And I can even have it so the 4th line hides automatically and only comes out when I need extra lines. And they can sort of roll out and look good. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. But let's tell you how I solved it. Let's go into workspace. So let's see all this dead code. All this code that was useless to me. I tried so many ideas. One of the things is if we look at the level. There's a little happy face. I don't even think that level will work anymore. Where's the level? So one thing I never ever figured out was I'd set up loads of detectors. Like I set up a small detector and a big one just to constantly have the second one on the radar. And when you're standing on there, it does detect that. When you're standing on there, it detects that. And when you're standing on, but when you're standing on this, it just ignores the existence of those two. And I just don't. And I made the circle really big, so when I was on there, it just it detected them both at the same time while I was standing over there. And I don't know why it didn't work. I eventually was like, I'm just going to try a different collision code. I'll try nearest, and what I'll do is I'll scan the entire room immediately, and then I'll keep the record of the 3 closest. And what I did. There you go, there's the 1st, 2nd and 3rd. I don't even need the 2nd and 3rd. All it's doing is scanning the closest one. And that did it. I just made it the closest one, and it changes so quick, it doesn't even matter. Which, to be fair, before I changed all the code, was presumably how it worked anyway, because I used to have a much smaller detect circle. It still has to do the collision circle, as you can see here. It has to detect a mountain close to me. Within 105 pixels, which is quite a lot. That's quite like my guy. It's like twice the height of my guy. But it just says, "Hey, is that closest thing in this circle?" And then it does the code with that. Like I don't need any of these second versions. Detect second doesn't actually do anything. Detect third doesn't do anything. Yeah, you see, like I was just trying to figure out why it wasn't doing it. I even moved outside. So yeah. Anyway. I don't know when I'm going to do another one of these. I hope if you watched the long one, bloody power to you, because I don't know how useful that was. You might want to watch somebody who knows how to actually code. But if you watch the abridged one, well, good view as well, to be honest. Thank you for watching that. Hopefully, if I do another long coding video, hopefully I can actually get more stuff done. I do get stuff done, otherwise I wouldn't have an entire game like this. But there we go. This is how I eventually found out. I was thinking, oh yeah, close, nearest. Where was it? Position. One of these. Oh yeah, there was a list. I considered doing a list, but I didn't want to have a data structure just for bloody a simple. So as it turns out, something that was really really simple. That's the thing. It was working until I added. One last thing, I guess. because if you did watch the long version, you'll know that I accidentally broke something else as well. I did fix it. I fixed it immediately by adding. See this no one here? If this doesn't equal no one, just use that constantly. Just use it constantly, even if you don't think that's going to do anything. Like, just always check if it exists, and when you create it, make sure nothing exists. And it's something you learn. Sean teaches you that, because if your character dies, then he's not on the screen, and suddenly a bunch of things are like, hey, he doesn't exist. So, our new game now. Ah, it's broken. Let's fix that right now. I might have loaded a different version of the video for fixing it, because I would have. Oh, one of the things I did try was scanning all the moving mounts, removing the still mounts from that scan list, and just grabbing code from an old version of the game and just only scanning the old code of that. It didn't. Don't do that. That never works. Use your old code to figure out things. Don't just copy it. It just never works. So I thought I fixed this. Apparently I did not. It's there, just it's not here for some reason. There you go. If text doesn't equal no one. And the reason it does this is because I'm starting in the same position as the shell snail. You'll see. It's a very exciting addition to my game. There is a new error, but I'm not fixing that on screen. And I know I said that for 3 hours straight and then proceeded to program. But trust me, we're not going to fix this error. This is the snail. I'll build the snail when I finally get a snail level, which isn't going to be in a tutorial, is it? Because it's a complex creature, relatively speaking. So there we go. Fixed. You want to see the new error? Jump on this. Now we're going to have to wait for him to come down. You like my crab? Those legs took ages. They're adding... Game Maker are adding a feature where you can layer a bunch of pictures on each other. And goddamn, I wish I had that function, because that took me really ages to draw. I need him to be going the other way so I can actually show you. I fell off. Yeah, this is sort of the... Right, two things. One, he knocks you down. When he does that, you lose the ability to jump. Why? No idea. Can I get it back? Also, I can't scan through him. Not sure why that is. Anyway, we're not fixing that on screen, as I said. I'm going to let you go. This has been my addendum. I've been John Steppens. I may have said John Foxy. It's what I call myself. It's a more exciting name. It's not my real name. I am the lead developer. Tyrantagonist Games, a name I'm apparently sticking with. The only developer, obviously. And thank you for watching. This has been sort of experimental. I have no idea if anyone would watch any of these, but I'm sort of glad I made them. Well, I fixed that ledge. See you next time.